Hey, what is going on, everybody? Don Martino here from Extract Media, and today we're talking about Star Wars Andor, created by Tony Gilroy. I was super excited for the series because we all know Tony Gilroy really came in to fix Rogue One when it was pretty much in production hell. He also chose three fantastic directors for the series, including Benjamin Caron, Susanna White, and Toby Haynes, who I all think did remarkable work here. And for those of you who don't know, this show does follow Cassian Andor when he's wanted for murder, and he really finds his only escape is through the Rebel Alliance, and that's kind of the whole plot summary here. It's also a prequel to Rogue One, and Rogue One's kind of a prequel to Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope, so it's kind of a prequel to a prequel. I've been hesitant on these Star Wars stories that follow these singular characters. I thought Solo was pretty good. It followed Han Solo pretty well. I did end up enjoying that quite a bit. Even though I think Obi-Wan Kenobi came back around at the end, there were some meh moments in the middle of that, so frankly, I'm happy to report that Andor, on the other hand, is the best Star Wars I've seen since my personal favorite Star Wars movie and my favorite Star Wars film of all time, The Empire Strikes Back. I just think this show just found that grounded feeling I was missing from Star Wars that A New Hope had and Empire Strikes Back had. I think there's a lot of really great story arcs that we get to follow in the show that are just unbelievably expansive. In the first 3 episodes, we really get to see where Cassian Andor, played by Diego Luna once again, is at now. We get to find out a lot about his backstory. As Star Wars fans, we're introduced to a new planet, which is always fun. We're introduced to the planet of Ferrix, which I thought was a really cool planet. It just felt very lived in. I enjoyed the feel of it. We get to follow Cassian through his relationships that he currently has. Number one, with Fiona Shaw as Marva in this show, who is Cassian's mother, or he considers her his mother at this point, and we get to find out why, really. And she just had such a profound and phenomenal performance in this series. She really brought something cool to it, in my opinion, and I loved her so much. Adria Arjona plays a character named Bix Colleen in the show. I thought Adria Arjona was fantastic. I'm not too familiar with her work in the past, but she did a really good job playing off Diego Luna in a lot of the scenes here. Joplin Satane as Brasso is another standout here. This guy just really belongs in the Star Wars universe. You could just tell when you see him, and I loved him so much in this show. An incredibly major standout, though, has to be Stellan Skarsgard here, because he's always great anyway, but in this show, he just fit the tone so well. I thought he did just such a phenomenal job here. And there's a whole storyline going on with the heist on another planet called Aldani that Cassian goes on that I just thought was so amazing to follow. We got to build a team here. Faye Marseille, who Cassian ends up meeting to go on this heist with, is really phenomenal in the show as Vel. I thought she did a really good job. I loved her as a performer here, and just really brought this incredible sort of uniqueness to the Star Wars universe, I thought. I definitely would have liked to have learned more about the character of Cinta Kaz. I think that she's a really cool character in this show, and Verada C2 just did a phenomenal job playing that character too. Evan Moss Backrack is an actor I was not familiar with before this, but man, is that guy a mega star. He is so incredible as Arvel Skeen in this show. I thought he was just wow. There's so much happening there with him and Cassian in this. Really incredible. Alex Lothar plays a character named Karis Nemec, and I actually know him from The End of the Fucking World, which I thought was a really good show. In this show in particular, he brought this incredibly sweet sort of personality to the entire team that's going on the heist in the middle of the show here. It's really, really great stuff. I like that that character ended up having so much more meaning, and the character also delivers one of my favorite lines in the entire show. We also get to see Genevieve O Reilly, though, come back as the character of Mon Mothma. I was so happy to see her reprise her role here, and not only that, it's so much more to do. I think Genevieve O Reilly is absolutely one of the standouts here. The way she's working herself throughout the whole political system in this show is incredible. We return to Coruscant, which I think is such a central planet to the Star Wars universe. I was happy to be back there, and it just looks better than ever in this show. And in these moments, we get to meet Elizabeth Doolow's character as Clea, who is so good in the show. I'm telling you, she brings this subtlety that I just really loved in this character, who's assisting Stellan Skarsgard's character, Luthen Rail, who I think is just an interesting character on its own, but that Clea aspect of it just really added something to it. We spend time in the middle of the series too, getting to learn more about Cassian Andor's backstory, more about what happened to Cassian's father, things of that nature. It's really profound stuff too. We do get to return to Ferrix time and time again throughout the entire series, which I thought was really great. And Cassian ends up getting arrested at one point in the show, which is a really awesome moment. We get to see things happen in the prison and we get to explore it. It really reminded me of George Lucas's THX 1138. I just thought Diego Luna did so well in these moments, and he got to play off of one of the greatest actors working today, honestly. That would be the great Andy Serkis, who's playing a character called Kino Loy here. I think he probably is like the most memorable side character here. Like, he just gave that great of an impact in the show. Thank God Andy Serkis was in this, because it just added this whole new level of performing to this. Again, it just gave Diego Luna so much to do as Cassian as well. In this prison stuff though, we get to see Duncan Powell come back as Melshi, who we all know from Rogue One. He's a very subtle character, but he's very subtle here as well, and I do like his whole thing with Cassian as well, and kind of what ends up happening to them. I think that those two work off each other really, really well. The villains in the show are unlike anything we'd seen in Star Wars anything. The Empire is actually really scary, and I love diving into that and learning more about the Empire and looking at them through this lens. I think Denise Gough did an incredible job as the character Deidre Miro. Man, she is so intimidating. I think what makes her even more intimidating is she's just really somebody who's really good at their job, and they're trying to overachieve at that quite a bit, and it almost just makes her that much more scary. You get to meet Alex Ferns as Sergeant Linus Mosk, who I think is a real crazy presence in the show, honestly. Like, he's a little bit borderline creepy to me, but no more creepy than Kyle Sollers, Cyril Karn throughout the show. He has an obsession that is just almost scary. It's weird, and I think that it's weird in a funny way though. Like, it almost gets so dark that it's funny at times, and I kind of enjoy that play with the tone here. I think that it really works for the show. We get these last two episodes where we really start to return to Ferrix. We see sort of the aftermath of what happens at the prison in the last two episodes. I don't want to go into that too much, but it really does bring everything that happened prior in the show together, honestly. And I think that this finale was one of the best finales I've ever seen on television. It just really stuck the landing in an incredible way, and if all 11 episodes prior to the 12th weren't as great as they were, I just don't think it would have worked as well. Another performer I really want to point out here is Forrest Whitaker's character as Saw Gerrera. He is back as Saw Gerrera. Last time we saw him was in Rogue One, I believe, and I think that this is his best performance as Saw Gerrera. It was so good, and I thought that he just was off the handle in the best way. I think one of the things that also kept the show going so well was the score by Nicholas Pertel. I just thought he did such a great job. The cinematography here is just gorgeous throughout. There are some stunning scenes. It just doesn't look like something you'd see on television, but man, I couldn't believe how well it was pulled off here. It is easily the best looking Star Wars show. It's the most complex Star Wars series we've had. It's really great. If you couldn't tell by all the characters, I mean, it's extremely complex. There's a lot going on in this, but it's really fun to keep up with week after week, and I really loved how well all these characters were built and balanced, and I just don't know that any of the other shows that have been on have been really to that level. And that's not a slight at something like The Mandalorian, which I actually love as well. I love that show so much. I just think that this just happens to be a little bit better for me. All right, guys, I am going to give Star Wars Andor a must watch. Even if you haven't seen a Star Wars thing in your entire life, please go check it out. I think you'll be able to keep up with it, understand it. It would probably get you interested in other Star Wars projects too, so I definitely recommend checking out this one for somebody who's new to Star Wars. If you have seen the show, tell me what you thought. Did you love it as I did, or did you just not like it, and why not? Would love to have the conversation with you, so let me know. Before I get out of here, please hit that like button below, subscribe to the channel, leave some feedback in the comment section, share this with your friends, and hit that bell for notifications. Once again, I am Don Martino, and I will talk to you guys later.